Hey, Fort Wayne, it is time to celebrate. We had two matches this last week and took points away in both of them. 3 points from each of the Kings Hammer teams, one from Columbus, one from Cincinnati. Hopefully you were at the match. We heard there were some pretty crazy crowds at the match both Wednesday and Saturday. I happened to be there on Saturday, and what a fun atmosphere it was at Bishop Darcy Stadium. We'll talk all about that, the two matches that they played there, that they won, brought home the 3 points. We're going to have a special guest tonight to tell us a little bit more about the Dayton Dutch Lions, who we will see at Bishop Darcy Stadium this coming Saturday night. And we'll celebrate some teams from Fort Wayne that brought home some silverware and some hardware from State Cup and President's Cup and Challenge Cup later in the show. So if you're on tonight listening, if you're watching and you're excited to hear your team, we'll get to that a little bit later in the match. But tonight I want to introduce my team, our team here at Fort Wayne Footy. I'm going to start with you, the man sitting just below me on the screen, Micah Middendorf. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here.
Yeah, and you were at the matches, or at least one of the matches this last week, yeah?
Yeah, I made it out to the Wednesday match. Really good atmosphere. The team played really well. I know we'll talk about that later on, but very happy with what I saw.
Yeah, very good, very good. And Autumn DeMott, welcome back to the show. We missed you last week, Autumn, because like 2 weeks ago, you kind of had you had something to say about me and what I was like doing to Micah, and then it's like your birthday or something last week, and you're like, I don't have to be on the show because it's my birthday. Welcome back, Autumn.
Hey, thanks, Brian. It's good to be back. I just, for clarification, you can do anything on your birthday weekend. So
Is that right?
Yeah, it is. It's like a rule.
Okay. All right. Can you tell us everything you did on your birthday, or is that like you can do what you want, you just can't talk about it later? It's like what happens in Vegas stays there.
No. I just hung out with friends, went for a 5-mile run with another friend. Yeah, it was a good day. It was chill.
5 miles. You had to throw that in there because that like a mile sounds like a lot to me right now.
No, it was good. It was all good fun.
That's awesome. Well, we learned last week when I was posting about your video or your birthday, we learned that you share a birthday with none other than DeMarcus Beasley.
I do.
Pretty awesome.
That was awesome. I saw that as well on social media, and I got pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Maybe next year we'll have to get together and celebrate the two birthdays together. What do you think?
Hey, I'm in.
That would be awesome. You get to do anything you want on your birthday, apparently.
That's what I'm saying.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, Autumn. Glad to have you.
Thanks.
Dustin, welcome back to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Good. Glad to be back. Huge week this week. I made it to both games. It was great. It was great soccer. So
you even got out to tailgate a little bit yesterday, right?
We did. Yeah. We sat out there for a little bit. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. I took my oldest and we watched the U.S. women's national team in the parking lot while we were tailgating. So
nice. Which is not exactly what you told me when I showed up, but I won't. We won't say exactly what was said there.
I forgot.
Was quite funny. Oh man. Hey, my name's Brian. I'm the host of the show here. Glad to have the three of you with us tonight. I just want to just say a couple things as we kick off the show. If you have not subscribed to Fort Wayne Footy on YouTube, or you're not following us yet on Facebook, I just invite you to do so. And here's why. There's some fun reasons and some really practical reasons. The fun reason is the more people who subscribe and the more people who follow, the more people know about the show and what's going on to celebrate and elevate the game of soccer in Fort Wayne, which is what we're about here, right? So the more people that see it, more people that know about it, the more sponsorships we can potentially get, which just means there's more we can do on behalf of soccer in Fort Wayne as sponsors get behind what we do. Practically speaking, we're at like 81 or 82 followers on Facebook, which is fantastic. We're just getting started. I'm really pleased with that. And we're at, I think, 63 subscribers on YouTube. We're getting there. Had a couple more just today, I believe. So thanks for that. When we get to 100 followers on Facebook, we can stream these shows live on Facebook too. There's a restriction there. Like it has to be over 100 followers for us to be able to stream the shows there. So if you are following us or not following us yet on Facebook, we just invite you to do that, Fort Wayne Footy, and then subscribe on YouTube. That would be really helpful to us. And again, just to get soccer in Fort Wayne out to the community a little bit more. Speaking of sponsorships, we do have a season-long sponsor here in FW22. Jared White over there has been a great partner, great sponsor for the show, and we hope to have him on the show here in the next couple of weeks to talk a little bit more about what FW22 does. They're a 501c3 nonprofit who's organized to facilitate community involvement in the support and assistance of veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury, while simultaneously educating on suicide prevention and mental health. And I know Jared had something going on tonight related to that, so he was unable to join us. But we do have a very special guest coming up later from the Dayton Dutch Lions. We'll tell you more about him in just a moment. We do have a couple games to talk about, though. Wednesday night, Kings Hammer Columbus comes into Fort Wayne at Bishop Darcy Stadium, ends in a 2-0 score with Fort Wayne on top. Micah, you were there live in the stadium. Tell us a little bit about the game, what you saw, what you experienced, and we'll talk about maybe some players here in a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, the crowd was amazing. And on a random Wednesday night at the end of May, I know some kids still had school the next day, but there was a great crowd. And it was the same energy level that I've seen at other weekend matches or late summer matches, all that. So really good crowd there. And then the play was amazing. Columbus tended to sit a little deeper. So we're able to build patiently out of the back. But I'll tell you what, once Tava Del Almeida was able to get on the ball in that kind of deeper midfield position, he was able to unlock and spray balls into their wide areas and really get our players in behind the Columbus defense, which is where that first goal came from. So, I would say we had about 70% possession, just very confident on the ball. We were able to dictate the pace of play. So really good goals on our end. Namik got in. I've been waiting to see him all season. So he got in at the end of the first half. And unfortunately, Jensen did pick up an injury. I hope he's okay. But Namik came in and he almost had a really cheeky shot where he tried to chip the goalkeeper from about 20 out. And the goalkeeper was able to scramble and just get it up over the crossbar. But overall, just a very, very solid game from Fort Wayne on Wednesday.
Yeah. And Dustin, I believe you were there as well. You took the boys, maybe it was the last day of school celebration.
Yeah.
What'd you see?
Yeah, same. I felt like we dominated play the majority of the game. It was an amazing experience. I think that they, the supporters do an amazing job of getting the crowd involved. From last year to this year, it has grown, and it's been really cool to kind of see how that goes. Amazing play. I loved watching a few of the specific players that I felt like just completely dominated during the game and really stood out, both on Wednesday and on at the Saturday game as well. I was very impressed with how they did.
So I was watching the game. I couldn't be there live. I watched a little bit of it. Missed both goals, of course. I turn around and they were within, I think, 3 minutes of each other. And which was crazy. I missed the first one. I was like, turned back and I was like, oh shoot, I missed it. So I'm watching, I'm locked in. And then like, I turn away again. And who scores 2 goals in 3 minutes, but Fort Wayne FC when I'm not watching? In fact, last night I got up from my seat and sat somewhere else, talking to some other friends, and Fort Wayne scored their first goal. And I was actually told it might have been Dustin,
it was
hey,
me.
Go back where you were.
Wherever you were, you should probably go back and sit there.
So don't watch the game online because they score more goals, and don't sit by Dustin because they'll score goals. That's my lesson.
Hey, they scored
this
2
week.
more after that. So
They did. That's because we cheered really loud.
Yep.
So, yeah. So Kings Hammer Columbus, I believe, is a new team this season in USL2, and Kings Hammer is putting teams all over the place right now. It's a club that's growing. I believe Columbus was a new team. Autumn, I'm just gonna throw a question at you as someone who's played at various levels, various teams and things. When there's a new team that comes together, say like maybe your freshman year at college when you came into Huntington University to play, and you're kind of a new person on the team, but maybe there's a lot of other new players on the team, right? So Kings Hammer Columbus, a lot of college players in USL2. What is it like stepping into a team where nobody really knows each other, their style of play, their intensity, their how they work off of each other? There's no chemistry yet. So a team like Columbus, what are some of the things that maybe they're dealing with as a brand new team in USL2?
Well, I mean, when I look back at my college career as a freshman, nerves got the best of me, because you're fighting to be competitive, against other people that you don't know, where as in high school and travel soccer, you've played with these people for a long time. So you already have the chemistry. It's really more of a friendship style. So it's easy to play with on the field, where if you're walking into a new team, none of that stuff is developed yet. So I mean, from that standpoint, I'm sure that they're trying to, and if they didn't have a preseason, right, or if it was short, you still got to work out those things. And so they're probably, I don't know, there's probably a mix of maybe not so much for guys as the nerves. I don't know. Maybe you guys could attest or speak on that, but there may or may not be nerves. Again, you don't know how each other play, so that chemistry is not built up yet. Or it might just be starting, but it's still not great due to a preseason. So I think there's several different things that they're probably facing as a brand new team, that they're just going to have to work out as season goes on.
Yeah, and I would imagine, and I'll just speak on my own behalf. Like at some point, the nerves, they're there, but you have to get past them, right? And
Yeah.
so sometimes what I've seen is players that maybe end up, and I'm not saying this about Columbus. I didn't even see much of that match. Like I said, I watched some of it online. But new teams, you get guys out there that, Micah, maybe you can speak to this a little bit as a college coach as well. They come out and trying to prove themselves and maybe work a little too hard, trying to do too many things instead of keeping the game simple and to do what they themselves can do. Again, not speaking specifically to Columbus, but Micah, what, as you put a new team together as a college coach, what are the things that maybe their coaching staff is wrestling with, dealing with being a new club this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of that does start with the coach, and it depends on what message you're trying to convey, and being very specific with what we're looking for out of players, what style we want to play, and that's something that has to be set on day one. And then from there, from the competitive side, especially with the men's side and the USL2 side, is you're trying to play at the highest level possible, and you're trying to compete at the highest level possible, but within the framework that the coach lays out. So I think it always starts with the coach, what message, and then from there, that competitive nature and drive just to succeed and do well within that framework, I think always will come through. So it's just getting out and just competing, but then the coach always has to kind of rein that in and compete in the right areas in the right way.
Yeah. And I think that's probably consistent across much of USL2 right now, is these are a lot of college players that are cycling in and out. Kings Hammer Columbus just happens to be a brand new team, brand new club there, probably working out some of those bugs early on. And so I expect Kings Hammer is going to be a team that's going to battle here in the next couple of years. Thankfully, Fort Wayne FC won't have to mess with that because we'll be playing in USL League One as of next year. But it's those little things that I like to pick out and hear about in the game as teams are developing here. Fort Wayne FC, we did talk to Coach Mike Avery last week. If you missed that episode, I'd highly encourage you to go back and listen to at least that segment. Maybe we'll repost that here on YouTube, just that segment of an interview. He's a great guy. It gave us some good insight to the team and what it's like to recruit and what it's like to coach at this level. He's a guy that he said it himself, I want to win. Like, regardless of who we're playing, the style of play, I want to win. And so we're going to go out there and we're going to be intense and we're going to do everything we can to win, regardless of if the team has built chemistry or not yet. We're going to put the pieces out there that we think give us the best chance to do it. So anyway, Kingshammer Columbus, Fort Wayne FC takes 3 points away, 2 goals, 49th minute by Oliveira. I wanted to point that out, 49th minute, because it's pretty key, because he scored pretty quick in the second half as well, within the first 10 minutes. And then Catavolo scores in the 52nd minute just to wrap up the game. We talked to Coach Avery last week about that 2-0 score line and how that's the most dangerous score line in soccer, but they managed to hold it for the rest of the match. After the 52nd minute, came away with another shutout. Great win for Fort Wayne FC versus Kingshammer Columbus. Saturday, another Kingshammer squad came into Fort Wayne at Bishop Darcy Stadium. It's Kingshammer Cincinnati. There's so many Kingshammer teams, and we'll talk to the Dayton Dutch Lions guest here in a moment. There's a lot of Dutch Lions teams as well. So I got to attend this match on Saturday. Dustin was there, met him for some tailgating with Three Rivers Regiment. Yep. They were actually packing up. I got there a little late. They were packing up. They do a great thing, tailgating before every home match. Encourage you to get out there in the west lot, just west of the stadium, right across the street there. Check them out, tailgate with them, hang out, and just be part of the pregame. That was a fun environment. But we get into the stadium, right? There's a record crowd for this season, at least over 1,600 people. I think it was pretty close to that on Wednesday night as well. Great atmosphere, kickoff, and Fort Wayne FC almost scores in the first minute of the match. They came out firing, and we thought, here we go. Dustin, your impressions of that opening minute and a half Saturday?
Yeah, so first of all, kind of taking it back to the game on Wednesday, I will tell you the game on Wednesday and the game on Saturday were like total different games, totally different style of play. I felt like we dominated the entire game on Wednesday, and then on yesterday, it wasn't until the second half that we kind of really dominated. We had that first opening where it was like we thought we were going to score, and then it just everybody settled in, and it was just kind of even play from there on out. I don't know what Coach Avery, I mean, all of us were very impressed with him last week. I don't know what he does at halftime, but we become a second half team. Both games 0-0 going into half, and both games we come out, we scored 2 on Wednesday and 3 last night. And so whatever he's doing, and I was gonna ask you guys, is that a coach? Is that a player mentality? Is it the coach, like pushing them to do that? What do you believe is causing that? Because I mean, I think the coach probably has a little bit of a say in relationship to changing some tactics around that he's seen the first half. But I mean, it just was both games, totally different team second half to just come out and just, I mean, annihilate on offense. And so
before we get too far into that second half, though, let's go to that question. Yeah. Autumn and Coach Micah, Coach Autumn, Coach Micah, what is that about the second half mentality? Is it adjustments that are made? Is it a player mentality that just goes out and I'm going to, especially at this level, like I need to keep my spot, or I'm going to earn my spot in the starting 11? Or is it a coach that just kicks you in the pants and like, we've got to do it?
I don't think Mike Avery is quite the coach that'll go and kick you in the pants. I think he's very smart with the words that he says, very intentional with what he does. So I think a lot of that does rely on the coach. You've had 45 minutes to watch the game, see where you can get, maybe it's numerical advantages in the middle of the field. Maybe you want to push your center back when you're in possession, push your center back forward to add a third midfielder, add a fourth central midfielder to create that advantage. So it's those little tweaks that you can just kind of play that chess game and move a few players around or look for different triggers that when the ball's in this position, we want this player to move forward. And then once we regain possession or win possession, then we have our early outlet. So those little changes after 45 minutes, and that's what excites me as a coach, is what changes can I make to give my team the advantage. And if the coach is trying to counter that, okay, what's my plan B? What's my plan C? And I think Mike Avery is very smart when he makes those changes. And that's 2 games in a row where they come out right after halftime and you see the results, right? 2 goals in the Wednesday match. And I know you said the goals happened pretty quickly after halftime on Saturday as well. So I think a lot of that is a coach just making the changes at the right time. And it's tough to make those changes when you're in the run of play in the middle of a half, right? You have to communicate across the field, over the fans, so you can't do it. So a lot of coaches do wait until halftime to make those big changes.
Autumn, any thoughts in addition to that?
I would 100% agree with what Micah just said. I think a lot of it is on the coaching decisions. But I also think, at least from my experience as a coach in the last few years, I've coached some teams where they are just a second half team. It's like their whole style of play changes when second half hits. And it's like, if you could just do it in the first half the way you do it play in the second half, it would be a totally different game. Or we'd be having a totally different conversation at halftime. So I think a large majority is of what Micah said. It is a coaching thing. It's kind of like a game of chess. You're picking and choosing what your next move is. But I also think that there are some teams out there with just player chemistry and how players play is you can be a second half team, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. I don't know what I prefer, right? A team that is like Rocky Balboa, like they just wait till the very end and they finally come out swinging, win the match, or a team that comes out solid, comes out strong, scores first, 1 or 2 goals, and then sits back and just lets the game happen instead of continuing to push. I'm a fan of both kinds of teams right now, one in Fort Wayne and one in Cincinnati. And one is more frustrating, at least for now, than the other, because one is winning and Fort Wayne FC is winning matches this month in the second half of games because they come out and attack. Like this first half, this last week, it wasn't for lack of chances, right? I think there were 8 corners that Fort Wayne FC earned in the first half of the match. And I believe all 8 of them, at least 7 of the 8, were to Rude Schneider running down the right side, through balls over the top to him as he's running. He's got some pace, and he was getting around the 7-foot center back he wasn't that tall, but he was a big dude.
Huge.
For Kings Hammer Cincinnati. And he would just stick his really big long leg out as Schneider went to cross it and knock it out of bounds. Like 7 or 8 times that happened. The thing that I struggled with watching that, all of their corners went to the back post, right where the 7-foot center back was standing. And he got his head on, I believe, every single one of them. I think at some point you change tactics potentially, and maybe they were. And this guy just followed the ball and he tracked the ball well. That's why he plays there. But he was solid on the back line for Cincinnati. The goals came when they played around him and played balls through, not over the top, played balls on the ground through, except the first goal. Let me just eat my words here. The first goal came in the 58th minute by Oliveira again. It was a ball from the sideline over the top, with Oliveira running onto it. They finally got it over the guy's head. Oliveira ran onto it, made one move, and he fired a screamer just under the crossbar. Keeper did not have a chance. It's a beautiful shot. So I wonder, one of those adjustments at halftime has to be, how do we get Oliveira free?
Yeah.
He scored in the 49th minute Wednesday and in the 58th minute Saturday. Like, they're finding ways to open him up, it seems, to unlock his potential, at least early in the second half, to get him out there. Now, Fort Wayne tied the match in the 58th minute, went on to the 86th minute until they got their second goal. which was another beautiful goal, crossed from the left side onto the head of Namek, who had subbed in. Namek heads the ball back across, and it was Garcia who gets his head on it on the back post there to score it. Beautiful play. And then there's some tragedy at the end of that. Dustin, yeah?
Yeah. Honestly, we talked about it last night, but it reminded me of, as a Notre Dame football fan, watching Drew Tranquil when he jumped up and celebrated the touchdown and then tore his ACL. That's what it reminded me of, because Namek jumped up, fist in the air, fell down, and then he was down, and it was right in front of the supporters, and he was down for a long period of time. Carried him off. He didn't put any weight on it, and then he was on crutches after the game. So we don't know what happened. Did not look good. And it was just completely unfortunate, because it was a beautiful ball in for that goal.
And he was looking pretty good. He was making some moves. He was getting getting down the sideline, getting some balls across pretty quick. And he subbed in. He subbed in the second half, played a few minutes, got an assist, and then went off, them carrying him off in that game. So wish him all the best. He's a young player. He's got a great career ahead of him at Bowling Green, I believe. Bowling Green State University is where he signed. So we hope it's nothing serious. He can finish out the season maybe, or rest a little bit this season before the college season. And then again, Thiago Campos scores in I believe it was the 93rd minute. It was extra time to seal the deal this last week against Kingshammer Columbus. The team looked pretty solid defensively. There was one thing we did not mention. There was a breakdown in the first minute of the second half that I believe it was Bennett Painter from Kingshammer Cincinnati, their number 7, who was all over the field. He was a good player, he was a fast player. He was a chippy player, but it's a player you got to respect. Breaks through in the first 30 seconds, I think, and puts the ball in the back of the net. So even in this one, Fort Wayne FC was playing from behind, scored 3 unanswered in the second half to take home the 3 points for the second game this week at home here. The atmosphere is incredible. We talked a little bit about that. We're going to share a little bit more later on as we go. We do want to bring in, we have a special guest that I mentioned early on in the show from the Dayton Dutch Lions. Now we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. There is a game on Wednesday night. Fort Wayne FC travels to West Virginia to play an away match on Wednesday, but they travel back home next Saturday against the Dayton Dutch Lions. And we wanted to give you a preview of the team coming to town. I think it's important to know who your opponent is, who you're playing, how their style of play, all that stuff. So we're going to bring in Ryan Gallagher from the Dayton Dutch Lions. Ryan is the GM for the Dayton Dutch Lions. Ryan, welcome to Fort Wayne Footy. Glad to have you tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was a kind of a last minute connection we made. Friend of ours in Cincinnati, through Cincinnati Soccer Talk, Justin Blair, who was on our show a few weeks ago, got us connected really at the 11th hour. So I appreciate your willingness to jump on and be part of the show tonight.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, Ryan, give us a little bit of the history of the Dayton Dutch Lions. I know the Dutch Lions is a club that has teams in multiple cities across the United States, but the history of the Dutch Lions, specifically there in Dayton.
Yeah, so Dayton's the first club of Dutch Lions FC. So it started in 2009. We were playing in what was then the USL PDL, which is kind of the earlier version of what's League Two right now. We played there for a few years and then moved up to USL Pro, which is now equivalent to USL Championship. Played there for a couple of years, and then the club decided to move to Cincinnati and then restart as a League Two club. So we've been playing there ever since. We take our mantra as the pathway to professional soccer pretty seriously. Every year we send a couple players playing professional. We always like to send some players to the Netherlands to get a chance over there. We have a strong alumni group playing both internationally and domestically. So that's kind of a little bit about the history. We have our women's team as well. They started playing, I believe, 2012-ish, but they've been in the USLW League, and then they were WPSL and now back in the W League.
Okay. Do you have partnerships with clubs in the Netherlands that you send players to, or is it's just an unofficial, you like to send players there?
We don't have any official partnerships. We have some pretty strong relationships with a few, but nothing's official.
Okay.
Hey, so there's the Dutch Lions clubs like all over the country, correct? Like, so
Yes.
is there like a single style of play that you guys promote between all clubs, or does it depend on personnel, coaches, regions, stuff like that?
Yeah, so we definitely have our Dutch style. It's total football. It's going to be exactly what Ted Lasso was talking about. But yeah, so and then there is going to be some variance depending on the clubs, depending on the coach and the personnel. Obviously, each club is going to do what's going to be best for them to put the best product out on the pitch. But we do have our style that we like to keep consistent throughout all of our clubs.
I have a question. So can you tell us a little bit more about the squad? Like, do you have returners? Is it a lot of new players? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so it's a young squad this year. It's a lot of new players. There's a couple returners, but it's largely newer players this year. A lot of really young guys. We're focusing really heavy on our local guys. We like to have Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus players, people that are in the area already that have strong ties to the area, strong relationships with youth clubs, things like that. So we're really strong with our Wright State players, with our University of Dayton players. And then we kind of branch out from there to bring in some extra talent to finish out the roster and fill some of the pieces that we're looking for. But yeah, so we've had some guys. The injury bugs hit us a bit this year. We've had some guys on international duty. We've had some people going through some things. So we've been a bit unlucky off the pitch with a few things there. But it's a young squad, so it's a lot of guys who are still gelling together and still kind of learning how to play together, and that's part of the League Two. That's just part of League Two. Every club kind of goes through that and learning how to gel together. So that's something we're working through every day and working on getting better. But there are a lot of exciting pieces on the squad and a lot of things that we're hoping to build for years to come.
Yeah. Ryan, we were talking a little bit earlier about Kings Hammer Columbus, new team in the league this season, and kind of what it's like to build new. And I know USL2, you just mentioned it, kind of has that history of it cycles new players through every season. I love that you guys have a lot of college athletes locally from Wright State, Dayton, and Cincinnati. I guess not Cincinnati. They don't even have a soccer program right now. Is that right?
Yeah, they folded a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right. I had forgotten that. But your connection with local colleges, I love that. You've got a little bit longer history in USL2 or in the USL period than Fort Wayne does. So how have you guys managed? Like, what have you learned in the years of what it's like to build a team almost new every season?
Yeah, it's a lot of rolling with it. It's casting a wide net and trying to see kind of what comes back. You obviously want to have those really strong relationships with those local coaches to make sure that you can kind of build off what they're building off, and making sure that those coaches know that if they're going to be sending players to you for the summer, that they're going to have a really quality place to train, get better, and come back ready to go for their fall seasons. But there's definitely some difficulties, which I'm sure all League Two teams know, just trying to build almost new teams every single year, just trying to figure out exactly who's going to be the best piece, who's going to stick around, who wants to go where. Some guys want to go to destination cities and go try new things and go play fun places. And then some guys are like, no, I want to be home. I want to go back to where my family is and my girlfriend and hang out kind of in my hometown. And some people want to stay by their colleges. So it's really just kind of figuring out exactly what players want to do, and then working with those players, and then trying to just build based off that.
Yeah. Just another question, piggybacking off of Micah's earlier about your style of play, total football. Does that play into guys that want to be there, that want to play there because they know the style, they know how you guys play. It's a tradition at the club, and they know what they're stepping into when they come.
Yeah, absolutely. It is something that players do take seriously. It's something that they think, if I'm going to go there, I know exactly what's going to be asked of me. I know the style. I'm not going to be walking into just whatever this new coach who I've never met thinks is going to work. So yeah, that's definitely something that we're able to use as a recruiting piece, and we can use that with colleges. And I mean, everybody knows total football. Everybody kind of understands what's expected in that realm. I don't think any formation or any club or anybody plays without any kind of concepts that have been a part of total football. So it's an important thing for players to know what they should be doing, and having that theirs can be really helpful to get them in.
Yeah. We talked a lot about the environment at a Fort Wayne FC game. We had 2 home matches this last week at Bishop Darcy Stadium. What can you tell us? What's it like to be there live in person at a Dayton Dutch Lions match? You play at West Carrollton Stadium.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yeah. Brand new turf, which is beautiful. I'm very happy about that. But it's a young crowd. We're working really hard with youth clubs and trying to make sure that young people in Dayton kind of see what they can be building up to. So we do everything we can to bring in as many youth players as possible. So it's definitely a pretty young crowd, which at times it can get a little rowdy because of that. They definitely like to celebrate. There's a lot of running around. There's a lot of people asking, can I be a ball kid today? Can I do all kinds of things like that? But it's a lot of fun to have kind of a young crowd there and show the youth players in the area kind of what they can start working towards and what they can build for.
So a question for you. So, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but as you're looking towards this game against Fort Wayne SC, when you're looking at the players on the team, are there specific players that you're looking out for, or your team is keyed in on as you prepare for the game?
Yeah. So, I mean, quite honestly, there's nobody you can ignore on that roster.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quality guys there. I think anybody can come off and can do some great things and can really make an impact on the game. I mean, obviously Thiago has been there for a long time. He's a mainstay in that defense. He's somebody that we always are keeping an eye on. Briscoe in goal is always great. He's hard to get one past. So that's something we're always thinking about. And then you've got your trio from FAU. So there's definitely some people that we're keeping our eye on, but we do know that it doesn't really matter who it is. We know that there's a lot of quality out there, so we're keeping an eye on pretty much everybody.
Yeah. Ryan, the season seems to have not been going the way you guys had hoped, at least early on. And I know you're probably making adjustments to right the ship a little bit. Who are the players that, like, as you guys come into Fort Wayne this next weekend, who are the players that our fans like need to be watching out for as like, this guy's going to show you something special, or this guy he's just somebody to watch, somebody that like our crowd even could get excited about seeing the quality of play out there coming from Dayton?
Yeah. One guy who I think has been really special for us, his name is Farouk Ungadare. He's up and coming at University of Dayton. He's super young. He's pretty green, but he is a very exciting player. When he turns it on, he really turns it on. He's got a lot of special skills. He's faster than, with the ball, he's a lot faster than most people are without the ball. So he's somebody who's really, really exciting. And then another player that we've been trying to get the ball to as much as possible up top, Parker Burke. He is our goal scorer. He is who we're counting on to kind of turn this around. I know we've had some troubles to get the ball in the back of the net. So he's somebody that we're leaning pretty heavily on right now.
Yeah. Ryan, I just appreciate you jumping on tonight. It was a good time talking to you about Dayton Dutch Lions. I just had one thing, not even a question. As I was perusing your website and just seeing a little bit more, learning a little bit more about Dayton Dutch Lions, I think you guys have the coolest kits in all of USL2. Like, I'm just going to throw them up. There's a few people watching live tonight. Your away kit is pretty fantastic. I love it. Your home kit is even cooler. The orange with the lion in there with the flame, it looks like, around it. Pretty fantastic kits. I kudos to you. I know kits are a big thing to many of us in the soccer world. And when I saw that, I was like, I at least have to highlight that. Dayton Dutch Lions have some cool kits. Well done. I don't know what your part in that process is of choosing those, but pretty fantastic.
No, our partner Diaza does a great job designing kits. They've got some really exciting ones kind of across all of their platforms. So it's something we're really proud of. We really like the way we're looking right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Will you be making the trip to Fort Wayne Saturday?
I plan to, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we hope to be there. If we can catch you, I would love to say hello live in person at the game. And best of luck this week. Do you have another game Wednesday?
No, we don't.
Okay, so you're gearing up for the Saturday match, and Fort Wayne's going to be traveling back and forth to West Virginia, so maybe playing on some tired legs Saturday. So, Ryan, thanks for joining us tonight, and hope to see you on Saturday night here in Fort Wayne.
Awesome. All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, fun interview. Really thankful Ryan was able to get on and join us here tonight. What you guys? What'd you glean from the interview? What'd you learn about Dayton Dutch Lions? What are you looking for this next Saturday?
I think it was interesting. If you can compare Mike Avery's discussion last week to his discussion, they really build up the local kids that play to their team. That was the one thing I took away from that. Whereas we have 13 different birth countries on Fort Wayne FC. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's cool to see two different mentalities playing in the same division, and kind of how their style of play then affects that. Again, he said 13 different styles of play coming into one team. That can be a challenge in and of itself. Then you have all these young guys in Dayton coming in, and every year is kind of starting afresh. Like, I don't know, it's a very interesting how polar opposite that it is from the two teams.
Yeah, and I wonder too. We did get a chance to ask him. They're coming from the local colleges. I wonder how many of them are international students as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like Fort Wayne FC does. Any other thoughts? Micah, Autumn?
I think it was just interesting, just with across all the clubs, having that same idea that players know what they're going to have when they come in. I think that means a lot in terms of the recruitment as well, where it's not going to be an unknown with an unknown coach, but it's going to be a similar level of play. You know what to expect. You know, if as a player, if coming in, okay, I can play in this style, I can play in this system. I'm here for the summer. Let's go and play, right? Mm-hmm. So, that was nice to hear, just that consistency with it.
Yeah. I love the fact, so getting deep into USL2 is new for me. I've followed USL Cincinnati when they were in USL, moved into Major League Soccer. We've talked about that plenty. But the idea that this is a path to the pros, we've heard Coach Mike Avery talk about that. We heard Ryan talk about that tonight. I love the mentality there. It can be frustrating, I think, being part of a team that refreshes, resets every year, and you're rebuilding. So you kind of have to have a different mentality as a coach and as an ownership group of what this is going to be, what it's going to be like. But with the mindset of we're developing players that will play professionally. Some of them will play professionally someday. Maybe it's a higher level of USL, maybe Major League Soccer, maybe overseas. But to be in a position where, again, cycling new players through, but always having a new opportunity to develop new players, I think is something pretty cool. Something I would get excited about as someone who loves change, loves new things, loves, even in the soccer world, developing players, not necessarily managing a team. I like the assistant coach role. If I could pick my role, I'm an assistant coach because I love to coach the game and not deal with, the record, the parents. Thank you, Micah and Autumn, for what you do dealing with parents in, youth soccer. But there's something special about USL2 that is capturing my heart this season as I dive deeper into it. that has to do with player development. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, hey, we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate and elevate the game of soccer here in Fort Wayne. We want to celebrate some teams that made it really deep into the cup tournaments. When I say really deep, made it to the finals in their cup tournaments, respective cup tournaments in Indianapolis this year. There were 5 teams from Fort Wayne United, 4 teams from Fort Wayne Sport Club that competed this last weekend in the finals. I just want to read their names. I know some may be listening, some may be watching. Promise we would celebrate your team. So from Fort Wayne United, the U17 E64 girls were state cup winners. Congratulations to you as state cup winners. That is not an easy place to get to. The U15 Academy boys were the Challenge Cup winners from Fort Wayne United. The U13 E64 boys were state cup runners-up. Congratulations to you. From Fort Wayne United, U17 Academy boys were state cup runners-up. Again, that's no small feat there. And then the U13 E64 girls were state cup runners-up. So kudos to you, Fort Wayne United, for the teams that you had in those respective cup finals, the state cup and challenge cup. And then Fort Wayne Sport Club, we had 2006, 2007 Bremen. They were the President's Cup champs this last Saturday. The 2008 Potsdam President Cup champs, so the girls team from 2018 from Fort Wayne Sport Club, President Cup champs. 2011 Augsburg from Fort Wayne Sport Club, State Cup champions. Congratulations. And then 2010 Bayern were the President Cup finalists. So runners up there in the President Cup in 2010 boys age group. Congratulations. We led off this season of Fort Wayne Footy saying we have teams here in Fort Wayne that are competing at the top levels from youth soccer to the pros. And this just, confirms that. Like, get out and watch some of the youth soccer here in Fort Wayne. It is competitive. It's fun to watch. There's some good players. There's some good teams. There's some good coaches. And we're excited to see some of these teams that are going on now to regionals in Kansas City this summer because of where they placed in State Cup. So congratulations to all those teams we just mentioned who advanced through there. If you are listening, again, we just want to highlight teams that are doing things here in Fort Wayne, from rec to youth to, I know there's young players playing like C3 Sports, playing at St. Joe. Like, there's just a lot of soccer happening, and that's where it all starts. And we just want to celebrate what is happening. So if you're listening and you have a team that has achieved something, has won something, has, fought back, they've not had a good season, but they've turned something around. We just want to celebrate the soccer that's happening here in Fort Wayne at whatever level it is. Let us know. You can message us on Facebook at Fort Wayne Footy. Drop a note in the comments here on YouTube at Fort Wayne Footy, or send us an email if that's easier for you to info@Fort Wayne Footy. And we would love to just highlight your team, your squad, your coach, your player, and just celebrate what's happening around the fort. All right. That's a lot of me talking, and I want to pass it back to you all as we get into our extra time segment here. And we talked a little bit about the atmosphere at a Fort Wayne FC home match. I've experienced a couple myself. Saturday was the first time this season I've been there. Dustin, your experience of a Fort Wayne FC home match.
So across the board, it's great. It's been great. Christina is actually commenting, I see on YouTube with them. She does a great job. Their whole group does a great job of getting the crowd involved. It's fun. It's a fun atmosphere. I love, kind of to piggyback on what we were talking about, the youth clubs and how they're doing well. I love that Fort Wayne FC does a team of the match. And so I think they actually had Augsburg, who just won State Cup, were there on Wednesday as the team of the match there. I think it just, it supports the local kids. It gets them involved. It recognizes them for their accomplishments. And then seeing the boys that are the ball boys out there getting the balls into the players as quick as they possibly can. That to me is what soccer is about. When you look at the U.S. men and women when they're playing, and they always bring a player out with them to stand in the national anthem, that's the kind of thing that builds up the next generation of soccer players. And so the fact that Fort Wayne FC is doing that locally, I love that. I want to recognize that. I want to just thank them for doing that, because I think 2 years ago, my boy was able to walk out there and he thought it was the best thing in the entire world, And so the fact that they're doing that at a local level, I just kudos to them hardcore.
Yeah, we talked about that at one of the first shows, but that grassroots strategy that Fort Wayne Football Club seems to have, where they're really trying to integrate themselves in the community. I think it's fantastic, and it's going to grow from here.
Yeah. Micah, you went to the match Wednesday by yourself, I believe. I think you said off camera that you met up with some folks there. But it's enough to bring you in to see a match. I'm going to sit by myself, watch a game. What'd you experience Wednesday night? Just sitting there. I know the second half, maybe you sat with some friends, but what'd you experience that night?
Yeah, I think that the atmosphere is phenomenal, right? Like having 1,600 people on a random Wednesday night, early in the summer, it's still a school night, but we're still drawing these large crowds. And on a personal note, I'm walking out, and all of a sudden I hear someone calling my name, like, hey, Micah. Like, looked around, I'm like, I'm not here with anybody who knows me. And shout out to Ryan, who watches the podcast. He's like, oh, my name is Ryan. I recognize you from the podcast. Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm like, cool, and that feels good. Where else can you get that experience? And
you're being recognized already.
Right. I'm Fort Wayne
out
famous.
Hey,
There he is.
So, and then I'm walking out, or at halftime, I almost run over DeMarcus Beasley. I'm looking at my phone. I look up, and DeMarcus is right in front of me. So it's a really cool experience. Really cool. Just overall, just something special that Fort Wayne has. And at being a Fort Wayne transplant, I haven't experienced this in any other cities I have lived in.
Yeah, it's a cool environment. Autumn, I don't mean to put you on the spot here. Have you been to a Fort Wayne FC match this season or previously?
Yeah, I went to 3 or 4 last year. And the environment, like you all have said, I'm not going to repeat it, but it's been awesome. I'm looking to get out on Saturday, though. So I hope to experience what you guys are all talking about for sure.
Awesome. I'll say this. I've been to a couple games previous to this season, and the crowds that I've experienced before have not been like the crowds this year, which has been fantastic. So just the energy that was there, the Three Rivers Regiment that Christina's helping lead, was fun. They were drumming the whole time, trying to get, I don't know how you get a crowd more involved. I know there are chants, there's cheers, where they try and involve everybody. And I wish more people would do that. I think Dustin and I were the only two in our section that were standing up and clapping with them. We tried to get more people up. Love what they're doing to build that environment, to build that atmosphere. And here's the thing, it will catch on. I know I look around the section where we were sitting just happened to have a lot of kids from our team or that have played together on this 2009 age group that all sat together. We didn't know everybody was coming. We all just met up there and sat together. And so we sat close to the supporter section. It was fun. We knew what we were getting into. We enjoyed it. There are people that were we were looking around and they're like, why are they drumming the whole time? Why are they chanting the whole time? And I don't think it's going to scare those people away. I think they're just going to sit at the other end of the stadium maybe and watch the games and let it fill in with people that know what's happening, that enjoy the rowdiness, that enjoy the chants and want to be part of it. It's going to catch on. They're doing a fantastic job. Lots of energy. The one thing I will say, there were two moments that really stuck out to me last night at the match, besides the game, off the field. There was a group from, I believe it was Summit Middle School, which happens to be where my kids used to go. They're not there anymore. They're graduating and all that. But so I didn't know any of the kids that were out there, but I think it was some representatives from the Summit Middle School choir that sang the national anthem. Right. So they had the team of the week, and then they highlighted a local middle school who sang the national anthem. And when it was over, Coach Avery, it just caught my eye. Coach Avery got up from where he was standing during the national anthem and walked straight over to the ladies that were singing, the students who were singing, and just high-fived all of them, thanked them for being out there. And I just thought it was a really classy move. No one else, at least at the time, he was the first one over. I think someone else was like, oh, Coach is over there. We should probably go over there too. But Coach Avery, kudos to you. I thought it was a really classy move. And then at the end of the match, the other one that I thought, and you may hate me for this, whatever. There was a player for Kingshammer Cincinnati that I've followed for years. It was Kenny Walker. He used to play for FC Cincinnati. He was playing for Kingshammer last night, and I got a chance to meet him last summer at the soccer tournament in North Carolina, TST 7-on-7. It's going on right now. Check it out. I think their games are streaming. Lots of top players in the world there. But I got to meet him, talk to him there. So I was excited to at least see him play again this year. Anyway, after the game was over, he walked over, left his team bench, and walked over to where Namek was sitting on the bench, injured, and said something to Namek, said something to the coach. And I just thought as a veteran player from the other team, it was a really classy move. So I just love that, seeing that, experiencing that. I did actually get a chance to talk to him after the match before he walked into the locker room, and caught up with him for just a minute or so. Anyway, atmosphere aside, there's some really class acts on the field for Fort Wayne FC and the teams that are coming in. So I just encourage anybody, if you're thinking about going to a game, if you have a free night, get out there, get out early if you can to tailgate in the West parking lot with the regiment. Get out there, celebrate with your friends, take your family, take your kids. It's a great environment, lots of fun. They do a lot of cool things for kids. You might be able to pick up a jersey for $15 like we did last night. Pretty great. So check it out. With that, guys, we'll sign off for this week.
I do, Brian. I do want you to know that you've got yours coming for you for those boom whackers that you gave my kids at the end of the game after ours had popped. I just want you to know, you throw everybody else under the bus. I'm going to let you know, moving forward, there may be a shipment of boom whackers that get to your house, and they're all going to be blown up, so you get to listen to it.
They weren't mine. They were just sitting there.
I'm just telling you.
Okay, let me confess something. Those were sitting there, and I handed them to Bo, and I showed you. I said, look, mine are still in my pocket. I also turned to Bo after I told you that, and I was like, Bo, here's 2 more.
I know he was blowing them up this morning. So thanks. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Oh, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week right here on Fort Wayne Footy.